Before we get into the video, I'm going to ask a quick question. Have you ever heard this Bigfoot audio before? Okay, now how about this one? If you haven't, stick around and we're going to get to the bottom of this. My name's Jaster. I'm the founder of the Southeast Bigfoot Research Organization, and tonight we're going into the discussion of if the Capturing Bigfoot documentary is real and the Patterson-Gimlin film is debunked, then what do we have as Bigfoot researchers, as Bigfoot believers, as people that are interested in the phenomenon? What do we have left? What is the best Bigfoot evidence left? Well, what if I told you that the Patterson-Gimlin film isn't even the best standard for evidence for Bigfoot, and that maybe we've been looking at this wrong the entire time? Now let's wind back a little bit. In the early 1970s, Al Berry and Ron Moorhead went up into the Sierra Nevada mountains in eastern California. I think they went on a hunting trip way back into the woods. They had to take horses, and then after a while, they couldn't even, it was some 40 miles away from a back road. And what they ended up finding there that night, what they ended up recording, would change history for Bigfoot and for cryptozoology in general. And I'm going to throw some of the sounds up here, and we're going to break it down.
Who's trying to talk to this?
So, what we have is as the biggest piece of evidence towards Bigfoot the whole time, because this is the piece of evidence that does have scientific backing behind it. This hasn't been argued for generations as to the validity of this audio. This has been a very established, quantified, measured, and analyzed piece of footage. Now, let's zoom out. Let's go out of the Sierra Nevada mountains and let's go over to St. Louis County, Minnesota. Now, the biggest thing that I've thought to myself is that I've always thought that the easiest way to gather evidence of a hominid or a ape species in North America is to establish a bigger range of sound, like recording equipment. Because honestly, long-term sound equipment has a much better chance of being able to record something and have evidence that can be analyzed. It's a lot better than having a trail cam. It takes a lot less maintenance to operate. And at the end of the day, the evidence that you can glean is something that can be tangibly visualized and then taken to task scientifically and see if what we've got is real. And like I said before, there's so much more to the world of audio than what we think. And the weight of audio is so much heavier than what we think. So, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and play the St. Louis County audio before. Like, we've also went over this a little bit on a previous video. But I also really think that this is another big piece of evidence in the pile. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, it's hard to argue that something strange is happening in this, and I really hope and I really wish that there would be some people that maybe worked on the Sierra sounds that would be able to look into this. Or if somebody has broken this down, that they would be able to connect us with the scientific analysis for this. Because, oh my gosh, I've never heard anything quite like that before, and I don't think many people have. And this is one of the pieces of Bigfoot evidence that I would put right up there with the Sierra sounds. Because honestly, this sounds like Jurassic Park. Now, it's hard to say this is some sort of animal that we've heard of before. That doesn't sound like any sort of bear or any sort of mountain lion or any other animal that might be in Minnesota. It doesn't sound like anything a human can do unless they have like the world's biggest didgeridoo, you know what I mean? But even then, it would be really hard to fake this, let alone having 4 different individual callers doing the same thing at multiple different distances and then having them all come out right. The thing that I want to point out is that this audio has parts of it that matches calls that we have heard before and ones that you've definitely heard if you're into Bigfoot. I'm going to bring up this one. That one is the Ohio Howl, okay? Now, the Ohio Howl is considered one of the other big standards when it comes to Bigfoot audio evidence. What is important here to note is that the plateauing audio that you see in the spectrogram analysis for this piece of evidence for the Ohio Howl matches what we've got here in the St. Louis County audio. We've got the same plateauing audio signature. Now, what we also have is a whole lot more than that. But what I want to bring up for people that maybe don't understand spectrogram analysis and all of its pros and its cons, okay? What it can do is give us a really distinct view of a piece of audio and give us audio signatures in order to track them. But what it can't do is work magic whenever you're not getting clear audio through the recorder, okay? The biggest hurdle that audio recording has is distance. Now, the easiest way to explain that is that if you've got 2 different callers at 2 different points, like what we have here in the video, you're going to see a distinct difference in the amount of audio and hertz signatures that show up from the closer caller to the farther caller. Now, what that means is that if you've got something far away, you might be able to pick it up. You might be able to marginally identify what you've got on the spectrogram from a distance, but it really takes something close up in order to truly get a real audio signature and get a true spectrogram analysis out of it. Because then you can also take it and compare it to other wildlife recordings from various distances and be able to compare those audio spectrograms. Because what a lot of people don't tell you is that when it comes down to spectrogram analysis, it's not just about matching the hertz. It's not just about making sure that everything fits up nicely. It's also about making sure that you're looking at something relative to the distance that it's recorded from. Because if you don't, you might lose a lot of information in the process. But I digress. I do believe that what we've got here is something that stands tall way over the Patterson-Gimlin film. And mostly because it's backed up by science. Not to mention, it's something that you can play this to your friends or to somebody that doesn't believe and say, explain that. And when they try, you can back it up with the science. And you're saying, hey, this isn't something that we've ever heard before. And there isn't an explanation for it. And what these people had experienced since then in those camps tells a story much different than what you might think whenever you think about bumps that go in the night in the woods. But if you learned something tonight, Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and join the Bigfoot tip line. I hope you all enjoyed it. My name's Jaster with the Southeast Bigfoot Research Organization, and you all have a wonderful night.